know if I like that. King of karaoke. How's everybody doing? Come on, how you guys doing?
Great.
I know what you're about to say. Okay. Tonight is very special. First of all, we call this a hostile takeover because you guys already know that the Real Deal is already ruling Maryland. Now we're going to rule D.C.
There you go.
So this is what we call the hostile takeover. And this event was designed to give you guys a sense of what's possible when you're thinking outside of the box. That's the key. We're going to talk about deals and strategies that the normal real estate investor would look at and say, there's nothing there. But we're going to show you how you can make money on stuff that's nothing there. And that's what the hostile takeover is all about.
Yeah, so thank you guys for coming. Hopefully you guys got to see the space. Made it all the way upstairs to the nice rooms and all the way up to the roof. And if you didn't, it's okay. It's going to be officially, we'll talk about the details of how it's going to be laid out. But yeah, it's been a great space so far since me and my partners pretty much acquired it in April. It's going to be fully up and running as a full hostel within the next year. We still have a couple of tenants that are actually downstairs that we're going to be moving out. So yeah, I'm excited for you guys to hopefully look to book with us on Airbnb and have a nice stay here.
And when you guys see the numbers, oh, how sweet it is. I'm just, oh my goodness.
It is exciting too.
But, like I said, we all know in this business, how do you tackle this business? One bite at a time. So I don't expect all of you guys to grasp the different concepts that we're going to talk about. That's why we're talking about 4 or 5 different ways in which you can think outside of the box to get to this level. So that's going to be the key today. How many guys are here for a Real Deal Meetup event for the first time? Raise your hand.
Yeah.
Okay. And how many of you guys are veteran real dealers? Raise your hand. All right.
Wait a minute, now some of y'all must not be using the deodorant. You either do or you've been gone.
I'm sorry, it's just a little shy, Cliff. That's all. Don't worry. You know, before the night is over with, they'll be dancing on the tables. Don't worry. We plan on giving you guys a lot of information. For those of you who are new and for those of you who aren't new, the Real Deal Meetup started probably about 9 years ago, and it has grown to over, I think, 4,400 members now. We are the 3rd largest real estate investing meetup in the nation. We put on a meeting once a month at the BWI Hilton, and that meeting is free, and that's our new home. We had our first meeting there last month. How many of you guys was there for last month's event? All right, was that a great event or what? Yes? All right. So this month's event, we're going to even outdo that event. We're not going to tell you about it right now, but we got something for you guys next weekend. And Brittney and I are working on the final details of that, and you guys will be the first ones to know when we figure out what we're going to do. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
How many of you guys have your seats in front of you?
Yes.
This is going to be your roadmap for the discussion this evening. And I like to call it a roadmap because it's going to help you to say, this is what the deal looks like, this is why people would walk away from it, and then we're going to go into what the deal actually is. Now, the key to thinking outside of the box is realizing that there are multiple opportunities in every equation. Think about that. Multiple opportunities in every equation. And the reason why you don't want to pin yourself into that wholesaler, rehabber, buy and hold investor is because you're going to miss so many opportunities if you call yourself that one thing and you only deal with that one thing from here to eternity. My recommendation, and I know Brittney feels the same way, is to study and learn one strategy, the strategy that suits you, and then add more tools to that toolkit. That's how we've gotten to the place where we are here today. Think in terms of this sheet right here. When you're talking about thinking outside the box, easiest ways to think about whether or not a deal can be a creative deal, there are some characteristics that really stands out. And we're going to go over them one at a time. You got your one right there. You need to share mine?
Yep.
Okay. The first one is, when you want to think outside the box, a good representation of a deal that could allow you to do that is a vacant property. And we're going to think about these different strategies when we go over the numbers. And the reason being is, a vacant property is a sure sign that there should be or could be an opportunity there. When you see the numbers on these deals, we have the actual questionnaire sheets filled out, you'll see what I'm talking about. It's the next one.
Yep, and with vacant rental houses too, you know, there's a lot of ways to get paid, right? So I've worked with people who are doing bird dogging, so literally going and finding the address of the property that looks vacant, sending it to me, as well as looking at the owner on record. And then I'm actually doing the mail campaigns, you know, direct mail campaign with roughly 5 to 6 touches to go ahead and locate that owner. So there are vacant homes, you know, obviously I play in the Baltimore space as well, which is a huge market to kind of play with vacant spaces. But yeah, so definitely something that I think a lot of people don't realize to take advantage of. So if you are seeing properties that you know are vacant, go ahead and track them down, because there are a lot of people that are getting paid bird dogging, as well as me, who's just going ahead and acquiring the properties. So it's a good strategy to use.
And when we look at creative strategies and creative deals, we look at the motivated situation. Mm-hmm. On the second one, it talks about full rental housing with management problems. In real estate investing, we have a term that's called forced appreciation. And you're going to hear that a lot when we're talking about this property and other properties. Forced appreciation means nothing more than to find a medium for which you can change the actual position of the income to a higher level that you can force it to get there. For example, one opportunity could be you have a property that is renting for $1,200 a month, but you turn it into a lease to own, and now you can get 15 plus X amount of dollars down, and so on. That's one idea or one situation of forced appreciation. Taking a property, make it into a rooming house. That's another idea of forced appreciation. Taking a property and looking at that use and switch it into a hostel. That's another opportunity for forced appreciation. So the key to that mentality is looking at the existing structure and seeing, one, where the actual owner has made mistakes when it comes to his management skills, when it comes to his ability to do the work in the property, when it comes to his ability to maximize the income. And you, as that investor, jumping in the scene and like the Long Ranger, saving the day. Mm-hmm. That's the key to forced appreciation. Knowing what strategies are out there where that person who has that property may not have had available to them, but now you can swoop in and make a deal out of nothing at all.
Yeah, and even on that strategy, so looking at different houses that have been on the market for rent for a long time, right? So if they've been on the market as open to rent for over 6 months, clearly the landlord is struggling to get that filled. So in you taking advantage of that would go ahead and try and get that landlord on the phone. Do a direct mail campaign, do a slide broadcast and voicemail and dial them. Just the different ways that you can go ahead and try and target those landlords who are pretty much ready to, if they're having troubles with the property, they may be ready to actually go ahead and give it up. That's another targeting strategy.
A great strategy that our teams use is, and it's a real simple, what I like to call a guerrilla route strategy. It's a Craigslist strategy, where you're basically doing Craigslist marketing based on keywords, motivated seller and or rental, and then you're basically what you would call guerrilla marketing that person, contacting them, finding out with their issue, they would like to try to sell the property. Now, the way we would structure that deal is we will send a voice broadcast to the mass numbers of individuals on Craigslist. And that voice broadcast would say something like, hey, I saw your property on Craigslist. If you can be flexible on price and or terms, give me a call back. That voicemail goes directly to their cell phone. They call you back. You either talk to them about the position of that property, or you talk to them about another use for that property. For example, one of these deals is going to be a deal that started out as a property for sale, but we wind up taking that property for a what we call our guaranteed rent program, because the person did not know of other avenues they had available for them until they started talking to my people. So think in terms of, how can I get the highest dollar amount out the property and make it a win-win for both parties? Number 3, we're talking about newer houses where a seller has less than a commission in equity. I can't really speak on how many deals we've gotten where these properties were purchased by some investors from Washington, D.C., who thought they could come to Baltimore and buy all the rental properties up because they was dirt cheap. And then 6 months, 8 months, 9 months in the game, realize that Baltimore is a different market all in itself.
It is, it really is.
And they just say, help! I need somebody to get me out of this property. So we do a lot of what we call parsing of eviction filings and so on, just looking for the investor that has that one property, that two property, that new investor. And I'm going to show you one of these deals where it was a deal where the investor just gave up because he bit off more than he could chew. These opportunities are out there, and I just can't imagine how many numbers are out there for you guys. All you have to do, and keep this in mind, everything revolves around success in real estate investing revolves around the numbers. The more offers you put out, the more opportunities you will have to close deals. Real estate is really that simple. If you put out 20 offers a month, the person that's put out 40 offers is going to have opportunity to do more deals. You put out 40 offers a month, the person that does 60 is going to have a better opportunity. You should be saying to yourself, how can I put out as many offers as I possibly can each and every month in a consistent manner? Brittney's talked about in one of her systems that's dealing with MLS, they're putting out over 100 offers a week on MLS. That's a week. You can't help but get deals when you're doing that kind of volume. So look at real estate investing as a numbers game. The more numbers you put out, the more success you can have come in. But it can also be a double-edged sword. And that double-edged sword can be if you're putting the message out to the wrong person. That's where your wasted marketing dollar comes into play. You touch on that.
Yeah. Next one too, with houses with 2 or more loans. So this is also some creative strategies that we've done, kind of playing in like the subject to space, or even if you wanted to market to people who are over mortgaged for short sales. But for subject to, one of my favorites is, I think a lot of people, like we say, we talk about putting in offers, being there, but it's also a people relationship business. And just because you are doing volume and you are, you will have some success, but it really comes through the follow-up and fostering relationships. And my first subject to deal, which I had one of our mentors, Bill Fell, kind of analyze and was like, could have done that a little bit better, but it was my first one. But really working with someone who literally was 92, Aunt Thelma in Columbus, Ohio, who has 12 properties. And I tell this story because it's so important just to know, if you're building relationships with people, that's where the growth is going to come. So Aunt Thelma has given me her multifamily unit, right? And I took it over subject to with just giving her a $5K payout, in addition to now being able to acquire the remainder 11 of her properties. And that comes through building a relationship. So while you have these people on the phone, maybe they don't say yes the first time, but it's about the follow-up and how you're constantly talking with them, putting your company and brand out there so that you can go ahead and move your business forward. So I think people hear it in one ear about the other, but it is a people business. Say it's a people business.
It's a people business.
All right.
Absolutely. And Brittney brings up a very good point, because in order to get on the creative side of the deal, the person more often than not has to trust you.
Agreed.
That's the key. You have to build that rapport of trust. Then a person would consider subject to. Then a person would consider lease with options to buy. Then a person could consider some type of transfer of mortgage, some type of land installment contract, some type of wraparound mortgage, and so on and so on and so on. But you have to build a rapport first. Don't just look at the dollar amount and say, if I can get this deal done quickly, I can make X amount of dollars next week.
That's not the way.
No, it's not. Number 5, houses that needs repairs before it can be sold for a rental price. These are great opportunities. How many realtors is in the room? Realtors come across so many properties that they put under contract to list, but because the property needs a lot of repairs, we like to call that property half pregnant. And the reason why we call that property that is because it's not in the shape for a total rehab, but it's not in the shape to move in. So when the homeowner look at the property, they're looking at the property and say, I don't want that. I don't want to do any work on that property. So that property is more often than not is going to be an expired listing, which brings to another huge opportunity.
Yeah.
Expired listings are a gold mine, especially if you know how to mine for them and you have the follow-up campaign behind them. So take that note. Use expired listings as another great way to get deals.
Also, touching on that too, which need repairs before it sells, a lot of mine are coming as probates, right? So these are houses that family members have had for years and years and years. They've now passed away, other family inherits it, and then they're looking like, look at this property, look at the condition that it's in. It's gonna take me forever to try and even, clean it up, get it together, so it's better for me to just go ahead and sell it as is. And so that's where a lot of people are, doing really well in getting probates. One of our mastermind students did a direct mail campaign. I love to shout her out. And she, really just made 20 grand?
$23,600
off a wholesale deal because she did a probate direct mail campaign. And she was like, I remember her calling me the second month and was like, I didn't get any responses. This is not working. I was like, keep doing it. And sure enough, third or fourth touch, got the call, went in, moved it in roughly, less than 2 weeks?
9 days.
9 days. He has the numbers. But you know what I'm saying? So it's just about consistency. So also targeting probates is also another one that's been really beneficial for us as well.
Yeah, and do you guys see a pattern here? The pattern here revolves around a seller that needs to sell, not a seller that wants to sell. A seller that wants to sell wants $1 million. A seller that needs to sell needs to pay for medical bills, needs to pay for a loan that's about to come, needs to get rid of a house for tax reasons. So your key is, how can I drop my marketing piece, my online marketing, my offline marketing, in front of as many people who need to sell? That's the key. Any questions so far? Because you guys are making this so easy for us. Cliff.
Yes, you really hit a good space, because I'm in that space now where I'm working with the VA to get some of these mail outs. I'm expired listings, MLS, and all that stuff. When we're looking at who to pull for, because sometimes you get out there, I want to do 100, you say just do it and do this number and multiply it. But aren't there other factors to consider? How long it's been on the market? Do you want to target those, or do you want to target?
Well, give me the exact campaign and I can give you the answer.
Okay.
Which particular campaign are you referring to?
Let's talk about the multiple listing, active listings, looking for properties, rehab properties.
Okay, give me the strategy. Probate, absentee, what strategy are we talking about?
No,
MLS.
Okay, MLS properties. And you want to go after MLS properties that's on the market. Expired?
Well, that's another.
But that's a subset. That's a subset of the set. Okay. And that's a very important thing I want you guys to realize. The key, and this is something that I learned years ago, the riches is in the niches. So when you can drill...
Write down.
That's one to write down.
Yep. Yeah, just made it. So when you can drill down, so think in terms of what Cliff just said. Cliff said MLS properties. That's a shotgun. Expired properties that was on MLS. Properties that was on MLS that's over 300 days old. So you want to drill down, because the riches is in the niches. The riches is where the person needs to sell. So MLS is a great opportunity. Like I said, Brittney has a strategy where she's doing a boatload a week, and you can go further onto the MLS stuff.
Yeah, so literally what we did was we were just looking at all the properties that had hit the market the day before, and my partner and I in Florida were like, this is just too time consuming for us to do it 4 hours a day. That's me doing it 4 hours, him doing it 4 hours. And so we just realized that we wanted to just go ahead and just create like a little parameters. So we looked at properties that just hit that were 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, certain square footage. So it kind of eliminated some. And then we went and had our VA make offers on all of them. And what we're doing is pressing go on the ones that we really want to now move forward on.
When you put the offer on all of them, do you have a formula? Is it as
Yeah, and I don't always talk about my formula per se because I use private money. So I've never used hard money. So you want to be safe and use the 65% loan to value.
Exactly.
I can play a little bit higher, so my formula looks different because I only use private funds. So I don't have points, interest, extra, none of that. So looks different.
Excuse me. I know I'm not the only one that had that question. That's what.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, great question, great question. Any other questions?
So when you're making all these offers at once, presumably you have some sort of like editable PDF that's the actual contract.
Absolutely, and nothing changes. Yeah, so nothing is changing, right? The title company is all still the same, everything is still the same, realtor's information. So they're looking up the property address, the property ID, depending on where we are, as well as sometimes we do owner on record also depending where we are, and then just putting in the purchase price. Same deposit every time, everything's pretty much the same. And then we submit that to our realtor who submits it.
How long does it take you to evaluate like each deal before you send it off?
Being honest, now I'm down to like an hour and a half for looking at all of them. So that cut my time drastically from 4 hours to an hour and a half. And now we're in the final stages of hiring a full-time acquisitions manager who's gonna get paid commission off of the ones where they just go ahead and press go. So that's, our next step.
Which brings us to this next part. If you are taking, and we're talking about pretty much any regular type of deal, whether it's on MLS, wholesale deal, off the market deal, if you're taking over an hour or two to analyze and get back with that owner, you're really shooting yourself in the foot. On average, it will take us an hour to put an offer on any phone call we get. And that's on average, an hour. And the reason why I say that, because as soon as a homeowner picks up the phone and calls you about a We Buy Houses sign, about a letter they got in the mail, about some type of opportunity they've received, the minute they call you, when they hang up, they're going to call other investors. And the investor that puts the number in front of them first at a number that they want to accept will get the deal. And that's the number one reason why most new investors lose out on opportunities. It's because their process revolves around calling that homeowner back a day or 2 days later, when people like myself or Brittney has already given that person an offer and ready to close in 7 days or less.
You said, so an hour after the person calls you back, you place an offer, but do you not walk the property to see like what it'll take to argue?
What's your name?
My name is Daryl.
Daryl, I'm glad you answered that question. You just perfectly set up the perfect segue. In my opinion, the only way and the best way to negotiate a deal is what I like to call a two-step strategy. And that strategy revolves around this. Give them what they want to get what they got to get what they want.
Say what?
Okay. I'm going to say it again. Give them what they want to get what they got to get what they want. Now, here's what that strategy means. It's a two-step closing strategy. It was one of the most powerful strategies I learned 18, 20 years ago. And it has served me well on hundreds of deals that I've done in 6 different markets now and all around the country. And that strategy is this. The minute you're talking to that seller, you get all the information you can from that seller. For example, the seller calls me up. First question comes out of my mouth is, Ms. Jackson, tell me a little bit about your property. She starts talking. Ms. Jackson tells me about the property. I said, Ms. Jackson, how much do you need for the property? Oh, I need $100,000. Oh, Ms. Jackson, how much do properties in your area like yours sell for? Oh, they sell for about $110,000. Oh, Ms. Jackson, how much repairs your house need? I don't really need that much repairs. I keep it in good condition. So I'm using the numbers. Well, Ms. Jackson said it needs 0 worth of repairs. So Ms. Jackson says houses in the area sell for 110. She wants 100,000 that doesn't need any repairs. So I use the exact numbers that Ms. Jackson gave me, and I do my own due diligence. And then I call Ms. Jackson back and say, Ms. Jackson, I'm sorry, but the houses around the area don't sell for 110. They only sell for 80,000. And here's the actual numbers, and I'm sending the numbers over to Ms. Jackson. I'm going to also say, well, Ms. Jackson, you're looking for 100,000, and the properties in the area only sell for 80. It appears you may be a little bit upside down on your property. Now, if I reverse that conversation to where Ms. Jackson actually gave me a number that made sense, now I'm going to go to the property. And only then, when you get the seller to a number that makes sense to the number that you want to buy it for. For example, if you use your 65% of the actual ARV minus repairs, $100,000, 65% is $65,000. $10,000 worth of repairs, you're at $55,000. $5,000 profit, you're at $50,000. ARV said you should buy the Mayo said you should buy the property at $50,000. You take off another $3,000 to $4,000 just in case the seller wants to talk you up. So now you're at $47,000. I'm on the phone with the seller. I'm at $47,000. The seller has agreed to $47,000. Then when I go to the property, if I find out that the seller was wrong in their repairs, guess what I'm doing? I'm renegotiating it. So I can't go wrong in this strategy because I use what they got to get what they got. I use what I want, what they want, to get what they got to get what I want.
There you go.
That's the reason why. It's a two-step strategy. On the phone, you get to close to where you want to be or where you need to be, and then when you get to the property, you renegotiate it based on what you see inside of the house. You do that strategy, you will not be burnt out looking at 150 properties that the deal don't make sense. Because that's what's going to happen to most of the new investors. They're going to go around, every time they get a call, they're going to go look at the house. And they're going to get burned out because they looked at 150 deals and only 2 of them made sense. Start with the deal that makes sense. The numbers don't lie. The person telling you the numbers, that's a different story. But the numbers do not lie. Start with the numbers, you can't go wrong. That's the two-step strategy.
Okay, I like what you're saying. But
Okay.
So you get the property area, you look at it. Are you a licensed realtor?
No.
You pull comps?
Great question. I mean, you got some good questions, my brother. I'm serious. Give him a lollipop. Now, Brittney, you know this one too.
Yeah, no.
Because if you are not a licensed agent, one of the key numbers or key members of your team should be a licensed agent who's working on your team for the purpose of giving you comps. Now, there's another way in which you get access to MERIS. An agent can allow you to be their assistant. Sheila? Sheila? Can an agent allow you to be their assistant?
Yes, they can.
How much does that cost?
Zero.
And that means you'll get access to MERIS. All you have to do is pay the MERIS dues.
See, he did it smart. I went and got my license first, and then realized,
Now, you can do it that way too.
but I outsourced. I don't even use my license
Right.
at this point. I outsourced
I
that
was
to a
gonna ask
realtor.
that,
So it's not even really worth it. I do, when I first started out, it was good, but yeah, I wish I had just done it that way.
And I'm not saying there's a right way or there's a wrong way. I just like the lazy way. That's my way. I'm just saying that my way of investing is the path of least resistance.
Charles,
Yes.
there is a one-time fee that you do have to pay.
Okay.
And it's pretty much the broker that's paying the monthly fee and has the assistant.
Yeah.
So I don't want you to think that it's free.
Yes, yeah.
But can you see everything a realtor see or just a snapshot?
You see everything, but it's a quarterly fee.
Yeah, it's a quarterly fee. Now remember, you're an investor. This is a part of what you have to pay to do your business. Is pay that quarterly fee if you want to get access to MERIS. Now, the other way is you can get your license. There's a couple of sites out there that have good information. One has started charging. They really, at first, they didn't start charge. The best site that I knew of in Maryland, D.C., and Virginia for comps, and it still is, in my opinion, for the real estate investor, is a site called Frankly MLS. But now they started charging. Frankly MLS. And the guy from Frankly MLS is out of, I think it's Virginia. I think he's out of Virginia, and his actual listings come straight from Maris, and he pulls the remarks from the listings. That's the key. When you get the remarks, what the agents say, newly rehab house, property needs to be renovated, property's just been renovated. When you get those remarks with the sold data, now you have information to work with when it comes to comps. And that's why I've liked that site better than most of the Zillow, the Redfins, and all that other crap. Because he actually pulled it from the actual listings with the remarks from the agents. But he started charging now. I don't know what he charges because I have access to Maris. So I don't know what he started charging now, but that's one of the best sites for comps for a non-agent person. Great question.
I have a question.
Sure.
This weekend I did something. We were looking at specific houses, a couple of like five or six, and we decided to take just a drive through the neighborhood. A friend of mine has some sort of device or something where he can actually see the comps in the house when he drives by the neighborhood. So I was saying that would be another way. Like I literally found a random house at a park. And I was like, oh, this looks like a really nice neighborhood. Not knowing that the street right next to the corner of the house, everything was for $200,000 and the house was only $35,000. So you can do a drive-by and kind of write down the addresses, and then if you have an agent, run the numbers by them. Because I just got told that 3 of the houses that we saw could sell for anything from $100,000 to $200,000, but the houses are only like $40,000.
Right. So that just boils down to, like we mentioned earlier, who should be and what you should have in place in this business. A team of the main 3 is what I believe you should have as a new investor. That team of the main 3 is title company, real estate agent, and contractor. Those 3 pieces should be in place when you start to do this business or when you really want to rev this business up. Because you're going to need each and every one of those parts in this business, especially if you plan on doing wholesaling and rehabbing.
Yep. The next one, a house that has been listed several times and has not been sold. So prime example, this one. So this has been, if you look even just on Zillow, look at it, it's been listed multiple times, and has never been sold.
Wait till you hear this. Don't even start it yet.
Yeah, but
Would this be expired?
it has been expired before, but the amounts of what it was listed for keeps fluctuating. If you look all the way down to when it was first bought to when it was tried to be relisted. So this is a good example. Buildings that are constantly changing in prices that have never been sold.
Also, think in terms of the same question, or should I say the same answer as for sale by owners. For sale by owners is a huge opportunity for those of you who are willing to jump in the water. Like I said, this game really has a lot of different fish in the pond. You got wholesaling, I mean, you got probate, you got driving for dollars, you got divorce, you got bankruptcy, you got, there's about 40 or 50 different marketing strategies you can do. And there's no way in the world you can do them all. The key is starting out doing 1 or 2 of them for a first month or so, and then adding more to it. Because if you take that approach, you're more likely not to let stuff go through the crack as opposed to trying to do 10 marketing strategies at one time, and it's going to be almost impossible unless you have the infrastructure in place and you have the budget in place to really handle that kind of volume.
Expensive houses that are slow to sell. So this is more the space I play in, more so in like the higher end homes in like Fort Lauderdale that I do, because they are on the market for $900,000 and then they don't sell, but we can really talk people down to roughly like 5 or 6 and then go ahead and relist it. Sometimes it's mostly, you'd be surprised, we've had it be due to new agents who just didn't know what they were doing. Right, so they were trying to.
Our agents don't know what they're doing.
Not our good agents in the room.
I'm about to say.
Yes, I know. But literally, a couple of people take on these bigger listings as their first ones, usually a family friend, something, and they're trying to market the property. But if you have never marketed high-end homes, it takes a very special person to market high-end homes. So it didn't end up selling. So we snuck right in and said, you know, we'll go ahead and take it off your hands. It does need a little bit more updating anyway. And we just rehabbed it and sold it at a little bit of a higher price, light rehabs. And that was one of our biggest, you know, profits in that area.
The last one is lenders or private institutions that have properties. How many of you guys, and this is a trick question, how many of you guys have ever dealt with or tried to get a loan from a hard money lender? Anyone? I mean, okay. Okay. Now, did you know that not all hard money lenders, when they lend out money, the deals go through? So, and here's what I mean by that. When the hard money lender lend out the money on a deal and they have to foreclose on that deal, they don't want to be landlords. They don't want to own property. They want to sell properties. So that's a huge opportunity for deals. The same hard money lenders you're going after to lend money to, find out if they have any inventory.
What do you say to somebody?
Do you have any inventory?
Are they embarrassed about that or anything? Or?
Well, let's put it like this. They are, let me put it, if you can tell somebody with a straight face that you have to pay 14% in 5 points, you better not be embarrassed about anything. So no, they're not embarrassed. They want to get rid of their inventory just like you want to buy good deals. So they're looking for qualified investors when they take properties back to get rid of that property they took back. So yes, that's a great opportunity.